Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm here with Sam with his movie, Paranoia. Let's take a look at the clip.
Who do you think you're talking to? You think you can come in heavy into my house, threaten my family? Fuck! Who do you think you're talking to? You think you can come in heavy into my house, threaten my family, shake me down like a pack of hyenas? You think you can make your bones with me?
Sam, thank you very much for being here. I know you grew up here, but thank you for coming all the way from New York City to be here, to be with us at New Filmmakers, and welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Paranoia, what a film. I'm so glad you brought it to us, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
So Paranoia is actually a short story that I read by a wonderful author named Said Serafizadeh. It was published in the New Yorker, and I was really drawn to it. As soon as I finished reading it, I wanted to make it into a short film. And essentially the story is about a friendship between two best friends, Robbie, who is an undocumented Chilean immigrant who came here with his family, but then his family moved back to Chile, but he loved America so much that he wanted to stay and make it on his own. Mm-hmm. And his friend Dean, who's kind of just lived in the same town all his life. And it shows through really small daily dramas and actions and behavior, the kind of tensions and realities of what, not of what an undocumented immigrant or just even someone who might be new to a new town might experience, and trying to figure out all the nuances of what it means to belong to some place.
Absolutely.
So I was really drawn to how the story didn't really, there's no like big movie moments. It's all very small, subtle things that kind of, it's so easy to glance over.
Yeah.
But then when you think about, it's kind of one of those things when you think back on it, like, oh, he did this because of this.
Yeah.
And it all makes sense after the fact.
Absolutely. I mean, I think even though there was a lot of the subtlety in which you told the story, there was some, powerful performances, and there was a lot at stake. This beautiful friendship that is, articulated over the years. So they're also, growing up as well, and then becoming an adult and discovering things that, is difficult when you're kind of faced with certain realities. And, we're in one of the best places in the country for undocumented immigrants, but it's so tough if you come from that environment or going through that yourself. You told that story so well from this, young guy from Chile. I love these characters that you created, and they had such a beautiful friendship and dynamic together. How did you go about creating these two characters, and also how did you work with them as a director?
In terms of bringing, the characters of Robbie and Dean to life from the short story, I think the big part of it was in casting, finding obviously finding the right people, but like whenever I do cast, I hate seeing headshots because I think it's such like a fabricated, like artificial representation of yourself. And so I asked for no headshots. I just asked them to like do one scene, but also just kind of talk about themselves. And I wanted to find the people who really felt like they felt lived in that character already. So that's really important to me when it comes to like casting or think of anyone for any of my films. I just want to find people who carries the same air and the energy of the characters. I think that does a lot of the work already.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was a big part of me bringing these characters to life on the screen. It's like finding people who have that, who in my mind is like, oh, this is a Dean and this is a Robbie. It can't be anybody else.
And as a director, how do you work with your actors in terms of the process?
I think for me, directing actors is still a learning process and figuring out the balance between, going almost no rehearsals and just being very spontaneous when we're rolling, or being very into rehearsals and like controlling all the knobs and bits to get it really fine-tuned. I think with this process for Paranoia, I always like to give, I think my general demeanor is to give the actors a lot of freedom to improvise. Like, I'm not very precious about the words that I've written on the screen. I think it's always a little bit more, there's a little bit more life in improvisation than writing, to me.
I mean, credit to you in how you did that and the whole process. I think you did a really fantastic job, because these characters you brought to life, they had this absolute infectious friendship. Speaking about the title, Paranoia, I mean, I think unless you've been through that or can identify that, people don't realize the paranoia that actually comes with being undocumented, being an immigrant, going through any adversity in this situation. It's painful. It's like a consistent PTSD. Yeah. Was that kind of something that you wanted to sort of, showcase to the audience, for them to sort of understand the situation? Because there's a lot of learning that needs to be done here for people that don't understand that situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think showing those kind of little, like you say, PTSD moments was something that was on my mind. Like, just growing up, I was born in Korea. I moved here, like going through like ESL and like even things like what are the shows that I need to watch? What are the, like, everyone's talking about The Simpsons, so okay, I've got to watch The Simpsons. Or even like during roll call, my name was my Korean name, and then it's just like the reality of like having to like correct the teacher in terms of my pronunciation, or just say my English name, Sam. All those like very small things I wanted to put in the film. Like, there's a scene where Dean is looking for Robbie in the hospital, and he goes by a lot of pseudonyms because he's afraid to give his real name because of his undocumented status. And he's always like getting paid in cash, and like all those things that you don't really think about on a day-to-day basis. For people in that position, it's a very big deal. That to them, like, it's just reality. And that's why I think, immigrants who come here, especially I think from like my parents' generation, they just had to like push through and survive.
That's right.
And I think that's what I really admired about the story, is like, it didn't make anything like a Hollywood big moment. It was it really focused on the details of daily life. And
the relation, and even the gentleman that gave him a chance, that ending was really, not going to reveal anything, but that ending was really powerful, because you really felt he could empathize and understood, and it was hurting him, the situation as well. And I thought you displayed that like really, really clever. What's it been like having it in front of an audience? We obviously loved having it at New Filmmakers LA. What was that experience like for you?
Showing anything that I've made in front of audience is always a terrifying experience.
You hide in the back.
I was doing this for half of it. Anything you put out that you've made in front of people, it's a vulnerable moment. So you can't help but feel a little anxious and a little nervous about it. But no, like, the audience here at New Filmmakers was so great, such a receptive audience, and it had such a warm reception here. And my favorite parts of going to film festivals is, after the screening, sometimes people come up to you and tell you like how much they enjoyed it, how much it affected them, reminded of a story that they had in their lives. And I like, for me, I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it's like I just made a movie, and I can't imagine that it actually, making, like, people are connecting with it, and that's just like an incredible experience, I think. So the audience here has been fantastic, and but
That's the power of your film. That's the power of your film, though, Sam. You know, I mean, it's going to mean so much to so many different people. It's, you know, it's a subject that is a very strong and important subject that's not talked about enough, not, you know, not understood enough, and people are going for it every single day. And so, you know, well done for showing a light, but also developing this short story and creating it and putting it on film as well. Very powerful. What is next for you, Sam?
So I am trying to, you know, write 2 features at this point. Kind of just ping-ponging from one another when I'm bored of one of them.
I love this. This is amazing. That's been quite popular today. That's great.
One of the stories is about a Korean American guy who's born in Korea but lived most of his life here, and he goes back to Korea kind of against his will. His dad like essentially forces him to come to help him with his business in Korea. So it's a story about how I feel like people in my generation, we grew up here. We were born in Korea, but grew up here, so we don't feel naturally at home in America. But when we go back to our birthplace, we're not naturally fit in there too. Like when I'm there, people could tell I'm from America. I'm not like Korean. So it's always like this weird limbo state that we feel in. I think and it's also about how children have like a adult relationship with their parents. They're not kids anymore. They're like out of college, out of school, and how does that affect your relationship with a parent? You're not being babied anymore. You need to like set more boundaries of like yourself as a person.
That's interesting.
So I like the idea of putting that kind of father-son story mixed with like the feeling of displacement in a place where you should feel like at home. And the other story is quite like a recent idea where I was sitting in a restaurant in New York, and it was a Korean restaurant. There's these 2 Hispanic gentlemen sitting next to us, and it seemed like they were the first time they were there, and they didn't know the menu. But one of the service staff came, who was also Hispanic, and they started like an instant relationship and friendship just because they were able to speak the same language. So I really want to try make a story about 2 Koreans who meet in Tehran, Iran.
Oh wow!
I've recently learned that in the 70s, like 40,000 Korean people emigrated to Iran for work. So there is like a Korean presence there. So it's still like a seedling of an idea. I'm not even writing in a script. I'm just writing it in prose at this point, just to like
amazing though.
Figure out what I want to do. But it is a story that I'm really interested in. My DP Ramin, he's half Persian, so it's a story that we both connect really
connect with,
closely with.
Yeah.
So hopefully those 2 get made.
Oh, they will. Don't worry, Sam. Wherever you take us next, really looking forward to it. And you know, thank you so much for bringing Paranoid to us, and keep coming back to the festival, making more movies for us. Okay?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming away from New York as well. Thank you very much, Sam. Everybody, thank you.